Hello and welcome to MFCP Woodworking. Sitting out here by my chicken house, and I got a reason for that. Today we're going to be making wooden eggs. It's about the time of year for it. A lot of people like to make them for decorations. We actually have a practical purpose for them. Chickens like to lay eggs all over the place sometimes, but there's one good cure for them to stop them from doing that. That's to make fake eggs and put one in their nesting box. As you can see, there's one fake egg carved, whittled by hand in the nesting boxes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect the eggs right now, and I'm going to show you how to make these. I start by selecting a piece of branch here that is big enough to get an egg out of. In this case, it's gray alder. It's also dry, which I don't normally do in this case. I would normally carve something green. Reason being, green is far easier to carve with. But in this case, the reason I chose to do dry wood is not just because I had it handy, but also because I wanted to go straight to sanding once I have the basic shape carved out. For the video's purpose, it allows me to go right straight into that. As you can see, I cut it a little bit long. I'm not going to make that whole thing into the egg. The reason why it's long is I want to be able to hang on to it. If you didn't notice it, I kind of dropped the, in the first part of the video, I dropped the egg. They're a little hard to hang on to, especially when you're working on them. This gives me something to hang on to while I do the carving. From there, I start by removing the bark. I carve the bark away, exposing enough of the wood to be able to get the entire egg out of the section that I have debarked. At that point, what I will do, and you'll be able to see this here, I'll show it to you, I mark where the egg is going to stop. We know it's going right to the end of the piece of wood where it stops. I'm marking the length of it so I can make a stop cut at the beginning. I cut in with my little Japanese saw here and start to make a stop cut that will start to define the big end of the egg. The narrower end of the egg, the pointier end, will be the very end of the piece of wood I'm working with. The reason I do that is visual. You could start with either end. The other ones that I did, I started with the small end. But trust me, it looks a lot better for the video's sake to start with the other end. I just want this to be clear and easy to follow. I work around as I go here, taking off the high spots. I want to keep this round, so I'm working around, making the cut. I go deeper and deeper. Once I have it deep enough that I'm starting to see the shape of that end of the egg, I'll start carving the short end of it, or the narrower end of it. As you can see here, the egg is slowly forming. And I just go around and around and around with the cut, hitting the high spots, trying to keep it even, because I want my egg to be round like an egg. Visually, you can do this. You can rough it out. You don't need to draw it out. You don't need to take pictures or use pictures. You don't need to draw it on your blank. You just work around until you get to the desired shape. That is the essence of what I do. Once I'm close to the actual finished egg size, I will cut it free from the rest of the branch here, and I'll use paring cuts to complete the final shaping of the wide end and the narrow end, and I'll just keep working it until it's close. If you look at this closely, this is very faceted, a lot of knife marks. For my purposes, this is just fine. If you're going to be using a different kind of finish than I do, you're going to want to take this closer to a finished piece. You're going to want to make those knife marks smaller and smaller, so you're going to want to refine it more. The reason why I don't need to, first off, these are not going to be displayed. They're not going to be carved further. They're not going to be painted with fancy decorations. They're not going to be painted with a glossy finish. What I use on them is a satin finish. I don't want them really shiny because the chickens won't like that. But if you want to make it shiny, the reason that you want to refine it further is when I start blending it here with the sandpaper, as you can see I'm doing, I start blending all these corners together, and I'm starting with 60 grit. I'm sanding very aggressively with the grain because I don't want to leave all kinds of scratches. I slowly blend them together, and once I have this where everything looks blended together, it's fine visually, it's fine to feel as I go through the different grits and down to my final sanding before I put the finish on. If I put a really glossy finish on, you will see those little knife marks kind of re-emerge. So you're going to want to make your knife work finer if you want a very glossy finish. What I'm doing though, this is fine. You'll never see it. That won't be noticeable at all. And that's the basic work on that. Now that you have your basic smooth egg, in my case I finish it, and I'm going to show you a picture here of my finished ones. You don't have to stop here. At this point you can paint it whatever patterns or colors you want. You can continue to carve it by carving swirls and different patterns into the surface of it and make it real fancy. I've seen some impressive work. And I would encourage you to do that if that's what if you're wanting to make it for decoration. If you're wanting to leave it just the way I did, leave it for my chickens to know where to lay their eggs, you're going to finish it up the way it is and make them look the way mine are. Okay, and these are just fine. And that's it. That's how you go about making a whittled egg. So time flies, whether you're having fun or not. Oh, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you like my content, go ahead and subscribe. It's always appreciated. See you next time.